Hello my dear friends and welcome to another video in Authentic English. In the previous video I talked to you about prepositions in and on. In this video I'm going to talk to you about prepositions at and by. If you did not watch my previous video, the link is in the description. You may watch it from there. Okay, so let's begin. Preposition number 3, at, mainly tells the place where something is. So at gives us very specific locations. I was at New York in America. He was at a party. John is staying at his friend's house. Now, unlike in, at tells us extremely specific locations. If you look at the first example, I was at New York in America. Now, New York is a smaller place and America is much greater. We are referring to New York City here, not the state. So it means I was at New York in America. Now, New York is a much more specific and precise location than America. And hence we are using at with New York, but with America we are using in. He was at a party. Now party is also an extremely specific location. John is staying at his friend's house. So when we are referring to a specific location, we use the preposition at. So this was the number one usage of at. Coming on to usage number 2, used to indicate goal of an action. Okay, whenever you do something and you just aim at something, we use the preposition at. If you look at this example, the shooter aimed at the target. You aim at someone, you fire at someone. In all these cases, when you do an action and you have to just hit somebody or strike something, we use the preposition at. The shooter aimed at the target. Or you can also say he fired the gun at him. Okay, so this is usage number 2 of at. And now coming on to usage number 3, shows one is occupied or employed. He is good at sports. Manoj was at work when I called him. He was at the controls of the ship. In all these 3 sentences, we find that somebody is employed or occupied with something. Manoj was at work when I called him. When I called him, Manoj was occupied with work. He was at the controls of the ship means he was occupied with the controls of the ship. And if you look at the first one, he is good at sports. Here at is telling us someone's skill. Okay, it also tells us that he must be frequently occupied with sports. That's why we are using the preposition at. We can also say he's good at something. So when you have to tell the skills, you use the preposition at, which also in turn tells us that that person is frequently occupied or employed in that. So this was usage number 3 of at. Now let's move on to usage number 4. Tells manner, cause or means. Okay, it also tells us the manner in which something is done, or the cause of something, or the means by which something is done. The statue was sold at auction. Okay, it tells us the manner in which the statue was sold. It was sold at auction. They laughed at his joke. Okay, the cause of their laughter was his joke. Usage number 5 tells rate, frequency, degree, position. Now this is an extremely important use of at as well. The car moved at a high speed. It moved at a low speed. So when we are telling the rate or the degree of something, we can use the preposition at. The temperature is at 90. My speedometer was at 170. Okay, when you're specifically telling the unit, then you do not need to use at. When you say my speedometer read 170 miles per hour, then you do not need to put at. But when you're referring it without unit, you can use at to tell you the degree. The prices start at 10,000 rupees. Okay, it also tells you some degree and even rate. So these are other usages of at. The prices start at 10,000 rupees. Okay, so now let's move on to usage number 6, expresses time. He goes to work at 7 o'clock. It gives you very precise times. I was working at 7 o'clock. Very specific times are given by at, unlike on and in. Okay, very specific times, like at the 5th minute he collapsed, something like that. Also refers to age. At 17 he became an incredible scientist. So these are 7 usages of at. I recommend that you note them down in your notebook. And now let us come on to preposition number 4, which is by tells the agent slash worker. Now this is the chief use of by. It tells you the agent or the worker, means the person by which a task has been done in the passive voice. The lion was killed by the hunter. It tells you that the hunter is the agent or the worker. They were taught by a teacher. So by tells us the agent or the worker. Tells means, okay, it also tells us means by which something is done. One can become strong by eating nutritious food. Tells means by which something can be achieved. If you want to achieve something, you can use the word by to tell you what that means is by which it can be achieved. One can become strong by eating nutritious food. So this is one of the usages of by. Now let's look at some more examples of by. By has many usages. What is meant by affidavit? When you want to ask the meaning of something, you can ask what is meant by. So meant by is extremely common. What is meant by this? What is meant by that? This is a very common and very important use of by. Please note all these sentences down in your notebook. It also tells you cost. The cost of traveling by bus was asked. Okay, traveling by bus. It tells you also conveyance. I was traveling by bus. I was traveling by car. I was traveling by cycle, or I was traveling by bike. So you can just use by to tell you the conveyance that you're using. She lost by a small margin. Again, it tells you some extent also. She lost by a small margin. They won by a small margin. Something like that. Tells you resolutions of screens. It was 1080 by 720 pixels. You'll see there are many cases like this in which you tell resolutions and such stuff. 1080 by 720, or on the maps, or sometimes like 16 by 9. You can use in ratios, like in the maps 1 kilometer by some meter, something like that. He's changing day by day. Now by is also used to show that something is happening repeatedly. Okay, he's changing day by day means each day he's changing. So by can be used to show repeated actions. He's changing day by day. He's becoming taller day by day means every day he's getting taller. Repeated action is happening. Also tells you deadlines. You will have to complete it by Monday. Now by Monday, by Tuesday, by next year. It tells you deadlines. Okay, time where something has to be done. The house was situated by the river. It also tells you a nearby position, means the house was situated just next to the river. He was passing by the river. When you pass by something, it's like a phrasal verb, but it's a very common usage of by. You say he was passing by the river means he traveled along, just traveled past the river. This flower blooms by night. It also tells you some time actions, like when a particular thing takes place. This flower blooms by night. Means by night means till the time night starts, this flower blooms. So these were the various usages of at and by. If you did not know any of these before, like many of you might not be knowing a lot of usages, I recommend that you note them down in a notebook. I'll be making future videos in prepositions too. I've only discussed 4 prepositions so far, and many more are to come. So please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, comment and share. Thank you so much guys for watching. Bye bye.